Hello and welcome to another Kyle Connor YouTube channel video. In this video, we are going to be taking the new Lexus ES250 all-wheel drive, which is like a Camry chassis with a Lexus stuff on there, naturally aspirated, I think 2 liter, could be 2.5, not sure, it doesn't matter, it's slow. Engine, and we're going to go rock it down a hill. Really windy up here, so let's jump in the car. You've seen what it looks like. Of course, with every video we do here on this channel, if you're interested in full reviews, check out Out of Spec Reviews here on YouTube, where we go a bit more in depth with the Lexus ES250 all-wheel drive. The spec on this car is really interesting. Little engine, but with every option almost. So it's got Mark Levinson. It's 56,000, I think, and change. Let's take a look. 52,900, excuse me. 52 and change. So that's pretty good. We are going to go sport mode. We are going to go traction control all the way off. It's not a performance car, but I do, again, like to see how the chassis perform. Into drive. Let's make sure no one's coming. And we're going to do a nice launch for our new friends here. Great dudes. So let's come to a stop and send it here for a launch. So foot hard on the brake, building boost. I shouldn't say that. It's naturally aspirated. No boost to build. Revs to 6,500 and does an upshift. 40 miles an hour. Upshift, 53 miles an hour. 60 in third gear. There we go. Up here at altitude, yeah, probably not the engine of choice, to be honest. Just revving. And we'll just keep it floored. Why not? Still pinned. Actually, we're losing speed. Yep, we just lost a mile an hour. Let's just slow down here a bit. We don't need to spend any records. Beat any records. This is a public road. We are not on a track. We do not need to fly, but we do need to use full acceleration just to maintain speed up this hill. So yes, my recommendation, if you live here at 8,500 feet of elevation where we are right now, this is probably a bit underpowered, if there is such a thing these days. Most cars are pretty quick. And it's not even the fact that it's just slow, which it is. Look, I'm still floored. It's the fact that, like, driving around town when you're just trying to relax in normal comfort mode and you're trying to have a nice drive, you're like revving this thing out to 5,000 RPM just going to Starbucks in the morning. So to me, that just seems like the wrong engine for this type of car. Now, if you live in flat ground Florida, I bring up all the time where a lot of my family lives, perhaps you don't need all of the torque. And you don't mind listening to the 4-cylinder rev out. But the V6 version of this, while it's still not a fantastic engine, at least has a lot more low-down grunt. So it doesn't feel like you're having to work it that much. So that's interesting. The Lexus ES competes with the Infiniti Q50, the Mercedes E-Class, I guess, although on the lower end, and Audi A7, although that's bigger. It's kind of in the class of its own because it's got Toyota build quality and Lexus appearance, which is a very positive thing for a lot of people. And that's because it's not that pretentious. It kind of blends in. It's a good, classy looking car, this ES. I really like the redesign. And you can go all the way from a luxury build like this to like sort of an ES, but with all the sporty bits on it. And that looks really good too. So I think they've done a good job with the styling of this car. I love this steering wheel. It's the same steering wheel out of the LS. And interestingly for Toyota, when you put the heated steering wheel on, it heats up the whole thing, which is very rare to find in a Toyota product. Normally they just heat up the sides of the wheel, and then this is like cold and then hot and then cold, and it's very weird. That is not the case here. So that's good. This one's an all-wheel drive. Now, I would be lying to you if I said I felt the influence of all-wheel drive on this drive. It feels like it just doesn't have enough power for me to even tell where the power is going. It feels front-wheel biased. And then the rear wheels, I really can't tell. But it is a physical drive shaft connecting the rear wheels here, and it's doing a fine job of moving us down the road. There's full throttle. You wouldn't know it, but we're floored. And let's try the braking performance on the uphill. Good brake pedal, good feel as well. I could really just balance that threshold without, just slamming on it and getting into ABS. So all of the touch points here are very refined, and that is unusual for a Toyota Lexus product. Normally they drive a little bit Agricultural is not the word. They drive a little bit unrefined, maybe, but this is sophisticated in the way that it's soaking up the bumps. It's almost as if they drove some of their German competitors, which, if you've read or listened or watched any of my other Toyota reviews on other channels, I always bring up the point, which is like, Toyota's just doing their own thing. I don't think they do competitive analysis, because the LC500, from a build standpoint, is just really in a world of its own. It's so cool and so bonkers, but it's like they ignored everyone else and just did their own thing. Same with the Land Cruiser. Same with Sequoia, especially. It's like, wow, did they not know that people are making nice cars these days? But here in the ES, it is impressive. Impressive as to how German-like it drives going down the road from a suspension standpoint. Now, the engine itself is, it's interesting. It sounds pretty unpremium. Free to rev. The transmission is the most responsive of any Toyota I've driven or Lexus product, but it isn't really a manual shifting mode here. It will automatically upshift like this. If you reach full throttle, nope, I have to be in gear 2, I think. Yeah, if you're in the maximum revs, hit full throttle, and then I can upshift it, and it will do that. But I need to maintain full power in the lowest gear possible, and then it will follow my upshifts. Going for a rip in the Z4. Nice day for it, too. Otherwise, like here in 4th, if I floor it, even though I've selected it, it will downshift. So that's annoying. It's more like a gear limiter, but then in certain circumstances, it operates as a manual selection. And that is just unbelievably aggravating. Just lock it in the gear that I'm telling you to lock it into. Love the way this car corners. That's the biggest surprise for me, is it's so grown up. It feels so nice. Look at this thing. Just, it doesn't like to be pushed. It just likes a nice, gentle cruise like this down a good road. And it's very agile. Definitely not sporty, not going to use that word. But it's refined and comfortable. It's kind of got that little bit of float, but not so much float that when you chuck it into a corner, it hops and gets all confused. So, impressed there. What else is there to say about the Lexus ES? It is a nicer Camry, but I get very little Camry feeling driving this car, even though it's on a similar shared chassis. This feels different than the Camry in almost every way, and that's good. I'm kind of at a loss for words. It's not that interesting of a car. I hate to say that. You get these cool gauges to try to make you feel like it's sporty, but again, it's not sporty. I know someone who really loves Lexus products, but thinks they're like really cool and fast, and they drive a Lexus GS, which is an amazing car because rear-wheel drive, front engine, it's got all the makings for a sports car. And the GSF truly is something special, but this is a base GF. And to be honest, I don't get it. I don't understand the appeal for someone of the younger age group, like in my age group of this. Now, if my grandmother wanted a sedan and she wanted something comfortable and easy to drive, this for sure, but I would recommend the V6 engine just because it's unpremium to listen to this thing rev to the moon. I've made that point a whole bunch. Typical for Toyota, all the buttons are scattered around in places you would not expect them to be. I have a whole bunch of blank buttons over here, but then they have filled them in here for my heated steering wheel. I have a rear shade in this car, all that stuff. It has a CD player. That's the first car I've tested in a long time with a CD player. Why is this guy just driving down the middle of the road? I sort of like want to go around you. Someone please comment with the proper etiquette of what to do in this situation. I do not want to bug him at all. I want to make sure he has a great, enjoyable, safe ride. But at the same time, he's like kind of holding us up, and I can't just like give him enough space because I can't see around the corner. So what would you do in this situation? I think we'll just hang back until we get a clearing. And I think that might be this. So foot down. And thankfully I could see a glimpse, and there was a car coming, so I got over just in time. I don't know, those situations are always awkward to me. Really don't like those so much. So yeah, the Lexus ES. Do I like this car? For me, no. For someone else, sure. It's really just like if you want a sedan that's nicer than a Camry, then this is where you go. You like your Toyota build quality? It sort of is, people who want this car already know they want this car. And it's a good car. If you are thinking about buying an ES, do not let this video deter you. It is a really good car for just cruising around town. Feels very understressed. Feels like it's just going to last a long time. That guy has two really nice spec Mercedes up here in the mountains. I think it's cool. Drives an S-Class 550, but with all the cool options. And then he's got a GLE 580. Anyway, the new big engine GLE, which I just think is amazing. Model X, giving it the beans. Hell yeah. So, that's the Lexus ES. And this infotainment system's terrible. Don't use it. Just use CarPlay. That's the same for every Lexus, though. Infotainment's just really not good. Heads-up display is all calibrated wrong. That's my fault for not setting up the options. Engine that's the big letdown here. Good car, bad engine. End review at full throttle.